Go for it.
Okay, so um, for my honors project for English 2, I wrote the story. Um, is basically the main character. His name is Cian. He's a mixed race of elf and human. So basically, it's a fantasy story. And during the story, this is a picture of the first page of my novel. It's kind of a prologue and setting for all stories. And the name Travel Across the Mind and Killer of Swords doesn't really specifically mean anything, but this story kind of indicates a modelness where the Cian receives a call to adventure and goes through 7 stages through the initiation and returns with freedom to live. Well, or the other words, the master of both words. So, yeah. And in the story, well, during the story, I kind of get like something like, whenever you go, don't be fooled by the beautiful things in front of you, because you have to really adhere your mind and know what you really know it. So basically, the story is also a process of self-actualization. Okay. And then problem culture drive to success. Well, yeah. Basically, it's like when there's a will, there's a way. I told this already many times. So the first problem I met is I kind of like first I used one afternoon to identify the problems that I could met or can be met during the process of writing this story. One of the big problems is the proper use of grammars and vocabularies. So I define the problem and I try to use several tools such as books or Google Translate or some other dictionaries that indicates proper grammar use. And I solved the problem, so I wrote a 35-page story. And then, yeah. And this is use of collaborative skills. So solidarity means strengths. Yeah, this is like while I'm during the process of doing my story, I really have lots of ideas. So from like all my classmates, they all give their ideas out. So it gives me a burst of ideas what I'm going to write. And Mr. Bey works with me, and his wife helped me to kind of correct all the incorrect vocabularies and grammars in the story. So it helped me a lot. And yeah, let's see. Adapt in a journey. So, and I was really trying really hard to adapt in this writing environment because English is my second language and it's a really big issue for me. I never did those kind of things before, like writing a huge story based upon my imagination and curiosity. Well, this is really a big word. I was thinking about writing another series of story based upon this setting, and this is really inspiring for me to accomplish this huge mission about writing. And then so I found out like language is not an excuse for not trying hard. Like so basically what determines the success is a minor and the attitude. When I was reading like once I was stuck in a plot line and I was reading a book and the book tells me a story that's really impressive and even now I remembered it. It's a story about like an old man walking in the park and the white kid comes out and buy balloons from him and then a little black kid walks out and says, "Can I buy another balloon please?" And then the old man gives him and the little kid just let the balloon fly and the old man tell him that what makes a balloon fly is not the color, it's the gas inside of it. So it means like for me it means no matter what background you are, if you want to be a writer, you can be if you try. Okay. So in this, there's a price for everything. Well, in my country, there is a word called stupid birds always flies the first. It means they always try their hardest to work on everything they don't know. And you always gain something and lose something. Well, during the during the story, I wrote Cian. It was like lost his lover and he has to make choices between the two and he balanced it, but he lost something as well. So it means like you always lose something, but sometimes when you lose it, you gain something wonderful too. And so this is a picture saying like the old man, the comparison of old man and young is like the young lose the age, but when he gets old, he gains the wisdom. So that was something. This actually indicates a plot line in mind. It's like the main character CN has to make a choice from becoming the king of elf or marry the girl he loves. But in fact, he cannot get to both times because the girl he loves is from another race. He cannot mix race again because he is already a mixed race creature. So it indicates a spirit of self-sacrifice. You really have to sacrifice yourself sometimes to make the world better. Yeah, like that. So it's a picture about helping each other. Yeah, you cannot have a cake. Eat a cake and have it too. The world is not like whatever you think about it. The reality is you cannot have everything you want. In-course activity, well, so this before I wrote this story, I read a lot of fantasies and books that have helped me to kind of get the story setting and other things. Like I said, chances are only 41 to prepare for me. And readings really brings me something. It expands my worldview and help me to think about what if I was the sea and what should I do, like this kind of situation. And it kind of breaks my limits for I create myself because at first my imagination was being chained in a box, and after I read, my imagination started to blow up into everywhere. And like what's the project said, the sky is the limit. There's no limit for imagination and something, and reading really brings us a lot. And basically I'm saying it's like the trail I was doing inside is like the life is like no turning back trail. You have to fail and be yourself. What makes you yourself is not like what you think you make it. It's what environment and what you did change yourself. Like Cian, he was first very innocent, and after he went through the 17 stages and other things that on his adventure, he became a Cian. It's not because he's flawed or he's background, he just see it because he filled himself with it. So and other thing is like you have to treasure what else is now because the future is so miserable. And the other thing I learned from writing this story is like don't complain about unfair fate. There's a lot of others who has much more miserable life. Just think about them. Why can't you work harder? That's a problem. Like that's my initiative too because they push me through it. Like lots of other writers, maybe they're not English, but they can write a good English book, and this really pushed me to write this whole 35-page story down. And standing in other people's shoes to look at work. One of the plot line in my story, like Cian was when he went through his 7 stages. He went to other people's body and see what they see, but he cannot interfere with them. That's a situation you have to be there and see what from other perspective and learn from others. That's one of the self-actualization too. You see what's wrong with them and you correct yourself. Yeah. And the objective is like everybody is lived inside a box at some time. And this picture I put up saying like when you're playing chess, you cannot be really fair because you're playing it, you're standing at one perspective, so you cannot see it really fairly. Well, as Cian before he became the great creator Ina, he was chained by the society and other things. But once he has to become Ina, and one of the challenges that previous Ina gave him is like abandon everything you have and be fair to whatever is in front of you. So that's where you have to stand out the case and look at work carefully. Yeah, it's when you stand out the box, you have a moment of clarity saying like what is truth and what is false for you. And at last, I think it's not only about the monomyths for Cian, it's also a monomyth for me. because I received a call of adventure from Mr. Bey saying I want to be honest, and I encountered a lot of problems, and I solved them through the intuition, and at last, I kind of accomplished the mission. This is my monomist. Thanks for listening.
Excellent. Thank you.
Any other questions?
So, how long did the book take to write?
3 months. At first, when Mr. Bey mentioned there's an honors credit, and at first he said, you have to do a project assignment. I was just thinking about creating a story. It took me like a whole semester to write this.
Impressive.
And this is just the first step. You're thinking of other books to follow,
Yeah.
right, in the series?
Because, let me show you this. This is my first page of my novel, and yeah, it kind of matched the thing I said, everything has a price. Well, I only mentioned 3 of the risks in this story is elf, human, and elves. So I was just thinking about writing all the risks down and making a series book. Maybe nobody can read them, but I'm happy about it because I can be a writer now.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very impressive. Well, it's very beautiful.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah.